Hello all you beautiful people. How you doing today? I've come outside for my morning meditation on the beach, in the water, with the sky above. It's probably my second or third meditation already of the morning. I love meditating. I love connecting with the cosmos and the higher self and all that noise. Good noise. And but I got inspired to record this video, my second video, to share with you guys a story. Anyway, sorry. All right, so let's get to it. So I'll turn the camera around so you guys can see the beautifulness that I get to see. Look at that. People are milling about. If this is your first time on my channel, former Hollywood agent who went through the dark night of the soul process, the Jungian process, and I'm finally coming out of it and finding a way to connect my former career, nearly 30 years, with this new path that I'm on. And my aim is to be a conduit of the teachers that I've learned from, married with my daily or whenever relevant events occur in my life, and what I use to get me out of it and show you the rawness of the process, not the polished version, though that is important because we need to be inspired and aspire to getting healthy, living the life we're meant to live. And for me, by the way, I came up with a new term to describe myself, a psychopunk, unapologetic expression of this journey. There's enough people doing the polished version and the polite version and all that stuff. I'm not saying I'm not going to be polite. I'm just saying I'm going to be me. And so, in any case, all right, let's go for a walk. I feel like walking this way. This water is so beautiful and warm. It's incredible. And so, here's what happened. So yesterday, I was having a very healthy debate with someone who's a King James Bible practitioner. And I love that. And I am into the Ethiopian Bible. And the topic was the image of God in the King James Bible. I'm not one of those verse-spitting practitioners. I never really do that unless it comes naturally through the field, asking me to relay it. This gentleman was, and I loved it. He was awesome. But it's interesting. His face, his body, his ability to further debate intelligently kept getting arrested and glitching, because I shared with him this story. We were talking about how in the Bible it says we're made in the image of God and Jesus is the Son of God, and we all know what Jesus was able to perform. By the way, I plastic Gnosticism. I follow the teachings of Gnostic Jesus, not agnostic, Gnostic Jesus. There's a difference, sort of. The Bible alludes to it, but in my interpretation, in my absorption of the material, by the way, I was raised Christian. That's another story for another time. The King James alludes to what we can all do. And Jesus says it himself. I'm paraphrasing here, but he says these things, alluding to himself, these things I do, you too will do in better or greater or whatever the vernacular was for that era, however it's stated in the Bible. And so, said if Jesus is the Son of God, then, and then I paused, and then I told him the story. So I was 7 years, there's a story that relates better to this. When I was 7 years old, I was in Sunday Bible school, at 7 years old, and we were on that topic. I raised my hand, and I asked the nun, so we're made in the image of God, and I'm paraphrasing, I didn't speak so eloquently for the love of God. I was 7 years old, but this is the sentiment. So we're made in the image of God. The nun nods in affirmation. And Jesus was the Son of God. She nods again, yes. I said, and we are the sons and daughters of God. Again, nods yes. I said, so that means Jesus is our brother. Another nod, affirming what I'm stating. This is in front of everyone in class. I said, so then, how come Jesus was the only one who can walk on water and we can't? Oh my God, so funny. And it arrested her. And I continued. I said, I'm not saying that we also should walk on water or can walk on water, but what if we have special powers? Superpowers. This is probably around the time that I'm into Spider-Man and Superman. And Spider-Man was my first hero. Superman was the second. The first movie I ever saw in the movie theaters was the Christopher Reeve's first Superman. And so I continued. I said, I just don't understand how, if we're made in the image of God, why we don't have God's abilities. Now, cut to present day. After decades of researching all this stuff, by the way, fun fact, side note, I was on path to become a priest. That's another story for another time. Went to seminaries, the whole thing, when I was in high school. I was a good little Christian, altar boy, all that stuff. Nothing bad happened in the historical sense that we've come to learn over the last decades. Nothing sexual, blah, 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 blah. But there was an event that occurred that pushed me away from the church. And so, the nun kicked me out of class. She kicked me out of the Bible study because I dared ask that question, and I was so confused. And it's a burning question that I still had until present day, although it's not so burning anymore because I, for myself, have found that answer. And that answer dovetails into the second point of this video, is to introduce you to Dana Kippel's work by way of this short video that just appeared in my algorithm on YouTube this morning. And it touches on some of these themes about what plasma intelligence is, the divine feminine, the role of the divine masculine, the Aquarius era we're entering into. And it just ties it up really nicely in a little bow. If you've never come across Dana's work, my God, she's fucking awesome. She's the real deal. She's a self-taught, highly respected physicist among her peers. And she only started studying this stuff, I think, 6 years ago. And she has been a massive influence. One of several. I would say I have 4 or 5. I'll introduce you to them as I go along. She's been a massive influence because I'm interacting with the plasmoids up in the sky. They're now in my meditation. It's a very active dialogue. My friends, this is the new Earth. This is the 5D. And it's been here the whole time. Now, the mechanics of how we as humans are evolving into that are just now catching up, because if you know anything about consciousness, the body, the vessel, our human vessel, always lags behind. Our ascension begins at the 0 point. If you don't know what that is, that's a topic for another time. In any case, I'm so grateful for today. I'm so grateful that if you stayed this long in the video and you're absorbing it and listening, and that it's, even if it's piqued a rebellious curiosity out of you, if anything I've said triggers a low frequency reaction, anger, shame, doubt, whatever, I invite you to go and explore it for yourself, because I'll tell you this, every time I did that, when I would examine the reflection smacking back at me that elicited those responses, there was always a path to growth and healing. And with that said, my name is Carlos, aka the Quantum Mechanic. Thank you for being here.